this is episode 48. You got me from the future. Uploaded this fucking file to JT before he kicks my fucking ass. I swear to God, I upload the right one, and then it's not the fucking right one on the goddamn thing. Contacts for viewers. Like I have one I have plenty of jobs internally in the Deprogram, but after we finish recording, it's literally a drag and drop. You click export, and we drag and drop the file in this one folder, and then our lovely producer JT goes to work at it and creates magic. But of course, you got next too fucking dumb to drag and drop the right fucking file in the right fucking folder. And but JT is such a beautiful human being. I think anybody else would have cussed me out at this point. He just passive aggressively tells me you got the wrong file again, dude, and then comma lol, which is I respect it. It could be much worse. So
the comma lol is what makes it.
Yeah. I see it.
I always have to include again to make sure that this is an ongoing problem.
You live. I'm not stealing your dogs from your house, but yes, it is. It is.
Oh my God.
I do apologize sincerely.
For the people listening, I'm back. By the way,
hey, welcome back.
I didn't fucking elope. All right, I was. I had many a night shift, so I couldn't be present. But alhamdulillah, I'm back. I'm back to semi-reasonable timing. So yay!
Yeah, welcome back.
We missed you. Did you accumulate any stories while you were gone?
That I have. I have several.
Do they include balls?
Okay.
Because our audience has greatly missed this. We tried in a few of the previous episodes to introduce a ball story, but they were always never on par with your level of testicular
I have fingered
amazement.
Yeah, I apologize that there wasn't anybody. There was no ball stories this time, but I did finger a dead man.
Jesus Christ!
I mean, okay, no, just so people understand.
I'm the weird one.
That probably sounds very weird. No, some people died. Some patients. I mean, not random fucking people on the street. Some people
blasted him
away.
so hard he died. Jesus Christ!
These hands are magic, boy.
I love how he said some people, not people, patients. When I fucking meat grinder,
you know what I mean?
Come in, I finger them, they go out fucking cold.
Oh fuck! Hey! Don't king shame. But anyways, what was like? What I was saying is
necrophiliac exposed, bro. Oh lord, no, yes. please go.
I was gonna say, when somebody comes in, it's for example trauma or some other sort of basically an emergency of some kind. They come in via an ambulance or something, like with some sort of a transport. They're dropped off at us, and one of the things that we do is something called an ABCDE, which is basically airways, breathing, circulation, disability exposure. You look at you basically go from top to down to make sure what is failing exactly. At the very end, one of the things you do is you check the tone of the rectum and the anus, because it gives you basically information about the neurological status of the patient, right? And it's usually some of the last things that you do. And this guy was technically clinically dead, but I still did it. I had to do it. It's not because I didn't want to do it, I had to do it, so I did it. But that's why. By the way, for the future, that's a weird side note, but one of the few things that's actually clinically proven, or proven in the research, to actually sort out hiccups is rectal stimulation. So there you go.
So if you're ever
you can do with that information what you will, dear listener.
Exactly. But anyways, those are not the stories that I wanted to tell you. This is a side thing.
This explains why I never hiccuped as a child.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Whenever my uncle was around, I never got the hiccups.
Oh my God.
But anyways, in the what's it called? There's a canteen, a patient canteen. And
for the non-humans. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes, basically, yes. They have these banger fucking sandwiches, all right? And I'm not gonna lie, we're not supposed to eat them, but I've been demolishing those fucking things. No, okay, it's like it's a night shift and very few things are open, and I'm not in the mood to fucking go walk out in the middle of the night to go pick some shit up. So I'm like, you know what? Them sandwiches do be looking kind of good though. So I go and I sneak some.
And that dead guy's not gonna eat it, so.
Yeah, I mean, hey, he lost his share. More for me. Exactly right. It's either that, and also this is built off of the sheer envy that I have of family members that come and bring fast food to patients in acute. and you smell it and you're like, oh fuck, it's like 3 a.m. I would absolutely demolish some fucking fried chicken right now.
Yeah.
Right? It's the absolute worst food you can eat, but I would destroy it. Anyways, sadly I didn't do that, so I go and I limply eat some patient sandwiches in the closet, basically. So that's number 1. Number 2, weird development. I was gonna ask you boys, do you have any white hairs?
Yes.
Got like 3 or 4 on either, like total, 2 on either side of the head.
I have like a
Oh,
small
look at
anime
you, Mr.
thing
Silver
going
Fox.
on my right side of the head. I have like a nice little spot of white. It's weird.
Huh.
I'm like an anime villain or something. I fear in like 10 years it might be a whole line, and like everything else is dark
Wow.
black and then a line of white. It's gonna look like I fucking painted that shit.
Hey, a little. It nonetheless looks cool. I do not have that. I have had basically like random white hairs that pop up in my beard every once in a while, which I was like, whatever, this fucking happens. They're depigmented. It's fine. At least that's what I tell myself. But the other day I was showering and I looked down and I find a white hair in my chest hair, and I was like, okay, this is fucking yeah. I'm like, what the? I'm not that. I'm the youngest of you fucking people, of you 3. What the fuck is this?
Wait, aren't we the same age?
But I did not. I think you're ever so slightly older than me, Habibi.
Okay.
So yeah, I had this fucking chest hair, the singular chest hair, and I did not dare to pluck it because I'm like, I know it's a wives' tale that you pluck it and 7 come in its place or what the fuck's, but I was like, nah,
Better
no,
safe
I'm not
than
gonna,
sorry.
I will not tempt fate. And then the third story, which is the last one to tie off this shit. Yesterday, I had to go drop off some documents, which was in a place that's basically the next city over. And what's weird is when you look up the address of the office, it gives you 2 places, like one in my city and one in the city next, like over. So I'm like, yeah, it's obviously, because I know this fucking town. It's not, I haven't seen the office here, so it's the office there. So basically, I go there, and once I arrive, I call the office. I'm like, hey, where are you guys? I don't see the fucking office. And the lady picks up and is like, oh, you went the wrong way. You need to like continue down, basically like to almost like another city.
Oh, God.
And that's where the office is. So I was like, all right, sure. So I go down, and then I go to where the address that she gave me, and she's like, it's the house like at the end of a hill. Like you just keep going down there. I was like, what the fuck are these cryptic ass fucking Alice in Wonderland instructions? So I get there, and it's like a storage shed for tires, and I'm like, this could not be fucking it. What the fuck? Where am I? Jesus Christ! So I call her again, and I'm like, hey, is this the place? And she was like, another lady picks up. I was like, yeah, no, like I don't know where you are, but you should. The place was like the old place that you were at, so you should like come back.
Classic.
So I was like, all right, fuck it, yeah. So I take the bus and I come back and everything. So they kick me around for like 2 hours. Finally, I find the place and then I go home. But the what's it called? The merit of the story, the point of the story. What the fuck do you Americans
moral
say?
of the story.
Moral, thank you. The moral of the story is call these people and be like, are you sure? Are you sure it's not some fucking weird metal tire shed? And then literally, I walked out of a parking lot and it was a metal shed and there were cameras around it. And I walked around this fucking building, and I'm like, there's some guy who's very confused security guard looking at some footage like, what the fuck is this guy doing here? So that's that. And the final thing I actually want to bring up, which is kind of completely unrelated. I was thinking about Yahoo Answers the other day. Do you guys remember that shit?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was just... why did they get rid of that? That was... it would be such an interesting idea to do for a bonus episode. Just see what people say.
That
Fucking
place,
Yahoo Answers.
that and like Quora, they're the Library of Alexandria. You can get answers to the worst answers to the dumbest questions you have ever thought to ask, and it's beautiful. It's a real loss.
My favorite thing is when you see all these threads on Quora where it's people arguing with each other, but nobody's fucking reading them. They're just actual essays.
Yeah.
I love it. It's very old. It's old-timey internet. That's why I like it. But those are the stories that I have. I hope I've satiated your curiosity as to what I've been up to. Otherwise, it's just been night shifts. I'm sorry.
Well, that was beautiful. We missed you. I'm sure our audience has missed you. It's great to hear your adventures while you were away. Welcome back to hell. You get to hang out with us.
Hey, I wouldn't have it any other way. And welcome back everybody to the Deprogram. It's obvious I haven't done this in a while. So today we thought we'd have a bit of a lighter episode, especially since we had a kind of heavier one last with the lovely interview. What we decided to do today was to go over, I don't know if people know about this, there's a website called Conservopedia, which is basically like to call it a conservative Wikipedia does an ill service to Wikipedia, even though it's a liberal shithole. Basically what it is some sort of like echo chamber for American conservatives with very weird political positions. Like they're very pro-war everywhere, but when you look at the front page, they're very anti-war when it comes to Ukraine. Like they want America to pull out, to not send them weapons or money, and they start bringing up the economy and the international relations, shit like that. It's very, very weird to see. But let me just give a few examples so people have an idea of what exactly we're talking about. One of the first thing, by the way, this was like what's it called? A starred article. Like, ooh, you know, like the editors really like this one. It is a article about Solzhenitsyn, which is the guy who wrote a bunch of shitty novels about the USSR. And he was heralded as I'm the hero of free speech, but just don't look up what he said about Jews. He was an outright fascist.
Putin unveiled a monument to him like last year. Just
really?
FYI, yeah.
Jesus Christ. The darkest timeline, I swear. By the way, I forgot to say, Conservopedia is basically, I forgot to mention, it's literally just like pro-American conservative, pro-evangelical, weirdly like anti-Muslim sometimes, and very pro-Jewish at other times, but they also are kind of anti-Semitic at weird times. They don't think like colonialism was a thing, right? They're super anti-feminist and these type, right? They're anti-LGBT, but they have like weird articles about, you'll see, we'll get into it. But anyways, so this article about Solzhenitsyn. First of all, the first thing they say is they claim that his novels were actual, accounts that took place, not things that were basically fucking novels, which, okay, that's funny enough. Most people seem to think that. But what I find funny is they say like, oh, he went to prison for, quote, and I quote, writing a letter critical of the dictator Stalin. They completely omit the fact that in this letter, he discussed with his friend that how badly they need to overthrow the Soviet government and also how to go about doing that. And they were doing this during wartime, during World War II, just so you know. So he got 8 years in prison for this. And then afterwards, by the way, within prison, he got treated for cancer. And then he was let out. Try that in India. GT, actually, just
nope.
Didn't you? There's a little episode. Yeah, everybody knows at this point. But yeah, so this is absolute fucking nonsense. This is not why I want to talk. I just want to give an example of the way they omit facts. I want to go into Fidel Castro's article, because this is the one where you actually get into the funny bits. First of all, they refer to him, by the way, this is the first sentence, Fidel Castro was the brutal atheistic communist dictator of Cuba. So enough adjectives for you there.
Brutal,
by the way,
atheistic and communist. I'm already terrified.
Yes, yeah.
Already
funnily enough, by the way,
horny.
Yeah. Well, the stupidity of this is that Castro, like, you couldn't say particularly that he was an atheist. I mean, it depends. Like, towards the end of his life, there were some certain statements that he made. But anyways, that's aside from the matter. The reason I wanted to bring it up is because they are hell-bent on believing that Castro actually died in 2006.
What?
And from 2006 until he actually died, just a few years ago, that he was basically, they had like different doppelgangers and doubles that they would bring in. And the comedic way that they go about it, they're like, oh, when the Pope visited, they had like an obviously younger man that they just like put makeup on him, like a 30-year-old guy or something. And they're like, they made him hunch over and then they put like bad makeup, but he wore a scarf that's uncharacteristic for the hot weather. The reason that it ends up being fucking stupid is when you actually look into the details, they're like, oh yeah, Castro is actually 6'3", but he looks shorter in the pictures, but he's like 86 and hunched over.
Yeah.
It's the extent that you can expect. But my point being is that Fidel was sus, and he's been sus since 2006 until he actually died. But that's not the point. The point is that he apparently was brought to power by, and this is my favorite word, globalists, which I still don't know what that means.
Global homo.
Yeah.
The global homo.
The global homo. The big hands. The Google big hands fucking art style. Those are the people that brought him to power. But that's not the thing. They said the globalists in the U.S. State Department sympathetic towards Marxism. So please, JT,
I wish,
can you please tell... Have you recently gotten a State Department job? Is this what...
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Sympathetic to Marxism in the United States of America. Okay.
In the State Department.
Yeah.
In the 50s and 60s.
Exactly. So those are the globalists. By the way, I always found this funny. If they had the power to bring Marxists into power in other countries, why couldn't they do it in the US?
Yeah.
Like okay, whatever. They have other such gems as Castro was an important inspiration, role model, and hero for leftist psychopath Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont, which is an interesting way of describing
leftist psychopath. I'm horny again. What are these people doing?
Yes.
Is this fan fiction? Okay.
Yeah, actually, in some places you're gonna read fan fiction. We're gonna get to it. I have a thing about it.
I have as well. Oh, baby.
They have a bunch of bullshit that they reproduce, which is all obvious bullshit. One of which is most pharmacies in Cuba do not even have aspirin, which is nonsense because Cuba has its own pharmaceutical industry, number one. And number two, prior, when they had limitations on which meds they can get, that's because of the fucking embargo. But they don't mention, by the way, the embargo is not mentioned anywhere in the fucking article. Not once. Yeah, not once. So that's, they say, oh, the streets are now choked with, choked. I've never seen... Choked. I've never seen a street being described as choked, but it's a conservative imagining a Catholic child. So
yeah. I was right about to go there.
So yeah,
I was just gonna do the wife. You did the child. That was smart.
Fair enough. Hey, we can do both. He has two hands after all.
Yeah, that's what the only thing he uses it for. Never to actually read something, just to smack around his family. God.
The streets are now choked with scenes of starving peasants frantically pleading for food, which is nonsense because, the U.S. has more malnourishment than Cuba. This is something that the UN knows about. Everybody knows. This is not, this is not commie propaganda. Okay, 1 in 6 children in the U.S. lives in food insecure households. This is, if you really want to point at starving quote unquote peasants, it would most likely be the people who are in those fucking dystopian car queues where they're going to a food bank but still running their gas. It makes no fucking sense to me. But hey, Americans. I mean, you probably couldn't get to the food bank without a car.
Correct.
Which is also kind of fucked up because the people who most need food banks are people who probably can't afford gas or their car payments. What a messed up system the US has.
It's not good.
Yeah. But that's not my favorite part. My favorite part is not only do they deny that there were assassination attempts against Fidel, they say that was bullshit and they never happened, but they claim the inverse, that Fidel frequently sent assassins to assassinate American presidents, and he claims that they claim that Cuban assassins succeeded in killing JFK.
Wow.
Which is that is there's a trip there's some weird movie that could be made about that.
Oh yeah, he's the most. Castro was like one of the most targeted individuals by the CIA in history, probably the most. He had like 600 attempts on his life, and the CIA people have said this. Oh my god,
618 confirmed attempts. There could be more that we don't know about. So that's fun, and they all include. We're gonna do a proper episode on it eventually, but they include stupid shit like, hey, let's put fucking like squid cum in his bathing suit because that'll make his beard fall out. It's a stupid shit. But let me just read you one quote, and then we'll move on to one of your guys's. To quote this lovely article: ever eager to make trouble, Castro dispatched Che to assist the Chinese and Soviet-backed Simbas of Laurent Kabila in the Congo, who were murdering, raping, and munching, many were cannibals, their way through the defenseless Europeans still left in the recently abandoned Belgian colony. First of all, there was no cannibalism. This is just racist bullshit. Number two, how do you think those Europeans got to that to the middle of the fucking Congo? I'm just wondering, just hypothetical. But yeah, by the way, to just put the cherry on top, they cite Ben Shapiro for this shit. I love that. Ever eager to make trouble. They make him sound like a rowdy student.
Yeah, a naughty little boy.
I mean, hey, he was quite
naughty
in a way. Let's hear one of your guys's.
Okay, so as a preliminary thought, I will never forgive either of you for making me read this garbage. I've never been on Conservopedia. Like, I heard that it was a thing. I knew it existed, but I had never read it. And I am not one who has ever been able to hate watch or like hate consume media.
It's so fun.
Never. I can't do it. I cringe too hard, and then I get angry. And this was no different. So let's talk about the conservative view on climate change. All right.
Ooh, yum.
I pulled this up because I knew it was going to be awful, and it was.
Lay it on me.
Quote, an analysis of weather station data by U.S. climate researcher Roy Spencer shows no significant warming since 1943. This is literally one...
Motherfucker, have you stepped outside?
One crackpot compared to data compiled by thousands of researchers around the world, many from countries that hate each other and would have no reason to agree to a fake climate scheme. Even Exxon admitted this was happening as far back as the 70s. They spearheaded the most advanced climate studies of the time because they realized that what the product of their drilling and activity was doing was warming the climate and was going to affect their bottom line going forward. So they funded this incredibly advanced research, found that the stuff that fossil fuel companies were doing was indeed changing the climate. They've got the documents to prove it. And then they said, okay, you know what? This is for internalize only. We're gonna bury this. We're instead going to lobby to create a propaganda campaign to shift the blame onto the individual consumer, the person who goes out and buys a bigger car or who doesn't buy paper straws and stuff like that. And that was back in the 70s. You can find these documents online. Just search Exxon climate documents. You'll find them. And they're all stamped for, internalize only or confidential or stuff like that. This is not conspiracy. This is not doubted by any legitimate scientist. This is stuff that we all understand at this point. I've been to the Marshall Islands to shoot a documentary on the effects of climate change. They're sinking. They're going to go underwater. We were there during the king tide, and you saw homes that, were a good ways back from the coast that had the waves knocking on their doors, that, their front lawns were flooded. You had water across entire roads. They're all going to have to evacuate within the next 50 years. The Marshall Islands it won't be habitable anymore. This makes me so frustrated if you guys can't tell. But
JT, I don't think you realize that all this is part of the homosexual agenda. These are all lies. Yeah. So that when the author of this article goes over to the church cookout, he's going to look at. He's going to look at Bob's supple lips and fat ass, and he's like, no, the homosexual agenda, climate change.
He's after me.
Sorry, go on.
The specific term they used was, and I'm quoting JT, climate researcher Roy Spencer shows no significant warming since 1943. I mean, if your wife hasn't hugged you in the last 50 years, you probably wouldn't feel as warm. So, yeah.
Rip. Poor guy.
Their projection. It's all projection.
All right. But moving on. So I scrolled through the rest of it. It's all garbage. But towards the end of the page, under the section Effects of Global Warming, their only real subheader is Beneficial Effects of Global Warming. And the photo they chose, it's a dude in a canoe by some trees with colorful fall leaves. It's it could be in a pamphlet for Visit New York or something like that. The article states, and I quote, "In areas that see extreme cold temperatures, deaths related to colder weather would drop significantly, leading to decreased healthcare costs, while areas that already have hot climates will see no increase. Warmer temperatures would also mean less energy used to heat homes and buildings, helping to conserve energy, as cooling is much more energy efficient. With the changes brought about by global warming, more land that is not lost to desert and or rising sea levels would become available for uses like farming and living. Forests and plants would grow stronger, healthier, and more abundant because of the warmer weather, and this would mean more oxygen being released into the atmosphere." Okay, first of all, there's so much going on here. First of all, hot climates will absolutely see increases, as will places with temperate climates. We've literally seen roads buckling from heat waves in the U.S., and parts of Texas are on track for 130-degree days in the next 20 years. This is common sense stuff. This is stuff we've been tracking for years, and it's every single time the data.
130 is 54 Celsius for the people.
When it gets hotter, let's even imagine people are not running away from there. They say people are going to use less energy for heating, but then they're going to start using it for cooling. You dumb prick!
Idiots.
Have you ever heard of air conditioning?
I don't remember the exact number, but if I remember in Saudi Arabia, I think 40% of the electrical output goes to directly to AC units.
Yeah.
It's fuck me.
But they kind of give the game away here by saying land that is not lost to desert and or rising sea levels. You fucking morons. Oh yeah, a lot of the globe will become uninhabitable, but we might be able to grow corn in Siberia. You fuckers, you dumbasses.
No. Hey, it's the people. The people who die will die, but the people who survive, they won't die.
They won't die.
That's
when you get your fucking arm sawed off, your heart will live longer because it's not going to have as much blood to pump. I am very smart.
It's just exhausting. exhausting. It's like, you people, you cannot keep claiming this stuff. We all know that it's happening. You can look around and see this. Like, Colorado is always on fire. Greece is on fire. Australia is on fire. The coastlines are sinking. There's nothing left to
just sell their
defend
homes,
here.
okay?
Yeah, exactly.
They'll just sell their homes.
Just Australia deserves it, but everywhere else, yeah, pretty sad.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, but that was the thing on climate change. They can die on that hill if they want to. They're literally going to die, but I guess if they're on a hill, that's high ground. But Jesus Christ. Next, moving on.
It's super fascinating when like how they readapted their rhetoric. I'm talking about the mainstream conservative when it comes to race, when it comes to specific cultural issues, when it comes to, for example, homophobia. They readjusted because they saw, okay, the mainstream is too fucking overwhelming, so we're gonna lose voters instead of gaining new ones. But with climate change, they're literally not fucking moving one step back, because it is so directly and obviously linked to the economic aspect of how the economy is organized that they feel like they have to take this issue like always head on and never give in to any of the argumentation from the Communist Democratic Party. So it's Conservopedia is kind of a direct loop into how the conservative mind works. And for example, what Hakeem mentioned, it's super batshit insane, etc., but it's like relatively well accepted and not even that much of a mainstream conversation point, be it among liberals or among conservatives. But climate change is, the topic of all topics currently, and it will be for the next 50 years if we even fucking survive them. And yet, they're not buckling. They're not buckling. It's kind of disgustingly impressive, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Because, like, as you said, as we've said on this podcast 7,000 times, it's like one of those things that are like as true as, I don't know, gravity existing. And they're not fucking moving an inch. It's bravo, man.
Yeah.
It's like these motherfuckers like really, really love the grift, man. Really fucking live for it.
The funniest thing about this Conservopedia shit is that when you actually look at their most popular contributors, the top like 15 of them out of the top 15, like 14 or 13 haven't been active for like 10 years. So it's literally just two guys who are the ones who are just fucking sitting there frantically typing this shit. Sorry, I cut you off, JT.
Well, that's actually what I was gonna think about is like how many of these people are just idiots on the internet who have consumed too much Ben Shapiro and Rush Limbaugh.
Have you seen the sources? There's no sources.
Yeah.
There's no source. The source. Okay, Wikipedia sourcing is still fucking dog shit, but at least they try to pretend like they're putting up appropriate sourcing.
Yeah.
Here, it's like one source that barely, and it's like a dead link, and they don't put an archive link to it or anything.
They just link to others of their pages, which is so you see a lot of blue on the page. You're like, oh, it must be sourced, but no, it's not. Like all of these things that should be cited are not. It's so I'm wondering. It's like, was this a bunch of goons who did this just for fun, who just because they actually believe it, or was this more of a hey, we need to make sure that our little piggies believe this stuff. Let's make Conservopedia. I don't know.
It's a combination. I wonder what like the internal kind of dialogue is within the website, and often with like most conservative websites, because you always have like the classic conservative dudes, then you'll have the right libertarians squeezing in there, and then boom shakalaka, there's a motherfucker who's like n-word this, n-word that. And how do they because they don't want to lose their income from ads from whatever. How do they like indirectly tell the open Nazi, like, dude, man, I respect you, man, fucking gang sign, bro, you're my man, but come on, let's not do it, let's not be as direct. Or do they like go full on like leftists usually do and like infight very, very, very loudly? It seems like they have their shit a bit more figured out than us when it comes to unity, but also the crazy guys should be more quiet.
I was just going to say a couple of things. Number one, the headquarters of Conservopedia is apparently in Lancaster in Pennsylvania in the U.S. They get like 285,000 visits a month, which is a scary amount of fucking people to think about. And the funniest thing is they have the same ranking, like international website ranking, as kpop.ru. So, I don't know, but it's so fucking funny to me, right? And then they have some other garbage fucking websites that I don't recognize. But yeah, so kpop.ru, where we're rooting for you to overtake Conservopedia.
Godspeed, K-pop stans.
Exactly. Oh God, Poland? 6% of their traffic's from Poland.
Conservopedia?
Why?
Of course,
Yeah.
Poland.
And 12% is from Brazil.
Oh,
What
yeah.
the fuck?
It's Poland and Brazil. I saw it from a mile away. Okay, so JT took a big one. Hakeem took a few mid-sized bites. I, for some reason, was masochistic enough to take arguably the most hardcore shit takes that I believe you can find on this website, because I took the article on what? Literally, an article titled Socialism. So let's start with a very nice little quote saying, socialism refers to a set of related left-wing socioeconomic systems based on control by a bureaucratic elite of the means of production, as opposed to individuals personally owning property. It is a failed system. Sourced, by the way, by none other than a newspaper called The New American, and I was like, okay, maybe this is legitimate because I think I've heard of it. So I went ahead and checked it out. It seemed, to my disarray, it actually, from a conservative perspective, did seem legitimately hilarious. The most popular recent articles on there range from the classic, and I quote, vaccine regret, study shows prayer helps repair DNA and immune system. And another quote, is Joe Biden the world's biggest human trafficker? And we end it with something called the so-called climate tyrants seek to silence scientists. But
That's a mouthful.
It is. It's very difficult for me to even pronounce it. But okay.
I was just gonna say, sorry to cut you off, Yopnik, but JT, you studied journalism. That's a shit title. That is a fucking dog shit title. No.
Climate tyrants seek to silence scientists. I don't know. That seems like a banger to me. That sound like those. Okay, listen to those sounds. Climate tyrants seek to silence scientists. It's like a tongue twister. Yeah. Oh man.
But it looks super good on a screen. It looks very good. It looks fucking terrifying.
Fair enough.
And for the wallpaper, they have these two big hands coming from like a person in a suit, but like super dark and like sitting in a dark room, but there's just light on the two hands. The two hands are grabbing something. It's super classic, obviously Jewish. But okay, enough about the New American. Let's get back to Conservopedia. So to quote again, I will say to quote plenty of times because there's such incredible jewels here. To quote, it's an ideology based on hate, dehumanization, envy, segregation of people by class, and mass murder, which promotes totalitarianism at the expense of individual freedom. The movement is responsible for the murder of at least a fucking classic, but I don't know what happened to the 6 million, 94 million people over the past 100 years. The fundamental flaw...
They don't believe the 6 million Jews died.
Yeah.
That's why, so they took them out.
Yeah. Oh my God. Very good. The fundamental... Oh my God. That actually might be the point. The fundamental flaw of socialism, because you'll see later why they would probably deny the Holocaust as well. The fundamental flaw of socialism is the belief that one person has the right to the fruit of another person's labor and private property. No, that's literally capitalism. That is literally capitalism. But okay, for example, that healthcare should be paid by others, and that should be considered a so-called human right. Socialism has led to increased bureaucracy and reduced freedoms, even in Scandinavia, and it has been tried and failed in countries such as the United Kingdom, India, and Israel during the 20th century. I mean, guys, I am very sad that our experiment failed in the United Kingdom. Whatever shall we do now?
Has anything ever succeeded on a fucking island? Like, this is what you said, United Kingdom, India, and some other country. I don't think I've ever heard of it. Hold on, I'm sorry. I don't think that place exists. Sorry, go on.
Took me a second.
No, it gets even wilder. I'm not even sure if you're like ready for this.
It gets wider.
It gets thicker, baby, just like you. But okay, another quote. But get ready for this one. I'd never heard this. Like, I was super impressed. The two most infamous socialist regimes of the 20th century were the Bolsheviks, headed by Vladimir Lenin, and the National Socialist German Workers' Party, headed by Adolf Hitler. The schism.
I like how they put Nazi party.
No. Yeah. But listen. That's cliche. We all know about this. But the schism between these two competing leftist ideologies for global mastery resulted in World War II. That is originality, baby. I mean, everybody knows about, actually Nazis were actually socialists, brain fart. But like, I don't know about you guys, but this is my first time seeing the take that leftists infighting caused WW2. I mean, a socialist's greatest enemy really is another socialist, I guess.
Jesus, you got to give him props for that. That is spectacular world building.
It's like, well, can I join? Are you the game master? Can I join your fucking D&D game? No, I was gonna say this is like shitty YouTuber fucking analysis. You know what I mean? That's the fucking quality. Oh,
no, it's even lower quality. It's Fox analysis level of quality. They make fucking, armchair geographer look like a fucking brilliant Einstein. But yeah.
It reminds me of, sorry to cut you off. Go. Reminds me of when there was that Fox News anchor guy and he put up he was talking about the Soviet Constitution, the Stalin one, the 1936 one, and he put it up. It was like, all people in the Soviet Union are guaranteed employment, or guaranteed dignified employment, and access to trade union stuff and healthcare and all that kind of stuff. He's like, can you imagine what a tyrannical place? I was like, is this the point you want to say this shit? Sorry, go on.
People fucking getting jobs, motherfucker. I mean, if everyone has jobs, then there can be nobody to take our jobs. And when your whole ideology is about getting your jobs taken, but okay, apologies. So. We go on. To explain the difference between the two, they come in swinging by saying that Nazism deviates from orthodox Marxist theory in substituting racial and ethnic conflict for economic, quote, class warfare. Nazism substituted Jews as the oppressor class responsible for all societal woes. Contemporary American leftists substitute race for class conflict. It's like, they're always so close and yet so fucking far away. And to move on, I really learned a lot from this article. I thought I was a socialist because the way this system is structured lacks sense, because I believe in a greater destiny for our species, because I don't want to get stepped on by a class which has exhausted its purpose for existing. No, it's because, and I quote again, socialism preys on people who fall victim to the sins of envy and covetousness. JT is probably dying laughing. Covetousness, and raises iconoclasm. You don't know what iconoclasm is, though, motherfucker. Materialism and nihilism as exalted virtues. Left-wing.
This is literally a counterpoint script.
Left-wing professors in universities have played a large role in advancing socialist ideologies. Many individual socialists and groups display juvenile, adolescent, and cult-like behavior. Okay, I get it.
Aren't these people evangelicals?
Most likely.
Yes, they are.
I'm just like,
okay, I get the whole thing they're trying to sell here, but why iconoclasm? Which was literally when the Christian church was internally debating on if it's okay to depict the Son and the Father in art or in statues or on walls, etc. So, what the fuck does that have to do with class conflict and Marxism?
Because there were a bunch of Lenin statues. That's why. Yeah. This is so stupid, genuinely. Do you know my favorite part about this is I've heard this so often. It's like, the leftist professors in universities.
Yeah.
I did not have one single Marxist or even like decently leftist professor in my 6 years of med school. Not one. In fact, the vast majority of them were explicitly anti-communist and would go out of their way to be anti-communist. Mm-hmm. They were bringing into shit that wasn't even fucking related. Right?
Yeah.
And I'm not. And by the way, I'm in medicine. I'm not in history or journal or something else where it would kind of could come into play. So the stupidity of this is, again, I think it's more projection because most universities push a different line, and most professors are either held by university policy or by their own bullshit beliefs to either this fucking decrepit centrism or, God forbid, this right wing garbage.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. Like, I formally studied political science, and maybe, okay, in political science, sure, you can find a leftist or two, but they weren't more than 10%. And what was the most interesting is, the older they are, the wiser they were, the more, the higher chance they were like Marxist, etc., etc. It was, I did it like a count in my head, and it was very interesting. The ones who do more of philosophy and, political science specifically are all more left-leaning in the political science department, even though, as you said, most of them are just ridiculous centrists. But if you go to like people who deal with policy, international relations, international law, like very specific stuff, not that much philosophical, they're all like open, like right libertarians and shit, like 99% of them. And it's just they mention Ayn Rand for no fucking reason, half of the classes. I'm getting PTSD from uni, but let's finish off the conversation about, because I'm pretty sure people are gonna are getting depressed just listening to this thing. After they go on and try and find a difference between Leninism, Maoism, democratic socialism, blah blah blah, all the classics, in which they miss the whole point. But these dudes actually, without even blinking twice, added a section under, quote, types of socialism called, get ready for this, Obamanism. Obamanism.
Oh my God.
To quote, critics of Obama administration have coined the word Obamanism to describe Barack Obama's socialistic and fascism-light economic planning policies. They also throw
planning.
Yeah, because Obamacare. Yeah. That's obviously Marx, in the beginning of Das Kapital. He writes, Obamacare. This is our goal.
Wasn't that like Mitt Romney's policy originally, and then it wasn't even a Democrat? Oh, never mind. I'm not going to get into this. Sorry. Go on.
No. They don't source anything. They just give an opinion. The only thing that, because they had to put something that they put there, they throw in that the famous quote about how one of Obama's key advisors at the time said that her favorite thinker was Mao, which proves that she had her little hands right into Barack Obama's mind and was giving him Mao quotes fucking every morning.
Do they answer the critical question, what is Obama's last name? Is that stupid story, stupid joke? I was gonna say the fucking how about you know what, this podcast we now uphold Obamanism thought, okay? Eternal Obama is the sun that doesn't set. All right, fuck me.
I'm a proud Bushist and Bidenist. Don't come up in here with this fucking
this revisionist Obama bullshit. Okay.
Now, let me be clear. Right. You have nothing to lose but your chains.
How are you so good at this shit? Oh my God. Oh fuck. All right. Yes, exactly right. Yeah, and there's some guy out there who's I don't know if they're equivalent of Hojis or Poseidus, but the people who are Clintonists. They just like cigars too much. All right. So I'm just gonna what's it called, shotgun the rest of the ones that I have so that we can tie off this lovely little episode, because I'm sure people's ears are bleeding from all this nonsense. They have a article titled "Friendly Dictator," which is only a conservative fucking thing could have that.
No, but it's honest.
You know what
Isn't it honest?
Yeah.
It's very honest. When they talk amongst each other, when they know the conservatives are gonna read this, they're very honest.
Yeah,
okay.
Pinochet. He's a good one. He's one of the good ones. He's one of ours.
He's not like Obama.
It's good that you mentioned Pinochet. It's not like Obama, or whatever they call him. But yeah, the way they define a friendly dictator from the American point of view is one who is authoritarian but not totalitarian, as if there's some meaningful difference between the bullshit terms.
What?
Exactly right. Yeah, the fuck are you talking about? Don't bring this fucking ardent bullshit. The fucking woman who wrote, "Hey, the lesser races are more predisposed to authoritarianism." Yeah, that woman. Fuck me. But yeah, anyways, the examples include Somoza, the Shah, Marcos from the Philippines, Pinochet, and other such lovely figures. So that was the beauty of the friendly dictator. And I was wondering, because they had a what's it called, article specifically about authoritarianism. So I was like, fuck it, let's check it out. And they say examples of authoritarian governments in the 21st century are China, North Korea, and Scotland.
What? What?
Yeah.
Why
they say
Scotland?
it's China. No, and by the way, there's no citation. They just say Scotland.
Somebody's trolling them, I think. Oh, somebody infiltrated that shit.
I don't think so, because when you go on Scotland on the thing, there's a lot of like anti-LGBT stuff. So I'm assuming somewhere some law was passed and they're trying to push that angle.
It was.
But I just find like
Scots are
like,
good with the gays,
yeah.
so we're not good with them.
Yeah. By the way, I love how they have articles both for bourgeoisie and proletariat. Bourgeoisie is actually properly defined. Proletariat is not. They go like back to Roman shit, and they completely skim over the modern use of the fucking word term, which is what people use. So that's interesting. I want to talk a bit about three figures, and actually I'll mention Native Americans, then we can talk about three figures, and then we can end it over. I'll leave Native Americans to the last because I want JT to be angry.
Oh boy.
For Lenin, they say, first of all, Lenin wished to exterminate the peasant class. That's a direct quote, which this is, in fact, the exact inverse, but whatever. These people don't know what they're talking about. But look what they say here. And I quote, Lenin, a workaholic who avoided vacations and downtime, died in 1924 following a series of progressively more serious strokes, which is actually true. Yeah, Lenin was a workaholic. He did work very hard all the time. He did die from a series of strokes. That's correct. They continue though. However, recent studies indicate that his strokes, quote unquote, were actually the terminal effects of syphilis that he got from interacting with a prostitute during his exile. Which, oh fuck me! Like, if you're unaware, this bullshit is like a lie, like a propagandistic lie made up by the whites. I don't mean the ethnic whites. I mean the Russian whites. The other people in the Civil War. They made up this what's it called?
It's a smear. The same thing they tried to do with Fidel.
Exactly right. Yeah, there's absolutely no basis in literature. By the way, if he did actually have syphilis, we have his corpse still there. It would be more than evident. You'd be able to test it. You're fucking stupid.
I just realized.
But yeah,
there's a corpse right there for Hakeem. Oh no! Don't do it! Don't do it! Please.
Oh fuck!
Iraqi man arrested in Moscow for fingering great leader Vladimir Lenin.
Oh my god! If that brought him back, you know what? I'd take him for the team.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Absolutely worth it, boys. I would eat Lenin's ass if it meant it would make him rise from the grave. Anyways,
Lord.
Anyways, what I was gonna say though is
like you will go to hell for what you just said. Like, it's
my God,
it's beautiful. Sorry.
But, yeah, what I was gonna say is, if for people who are actually interested, there are the autopsy results of a bunch of people, like Trotsky. You can see the autopsy results of his. Lenin's, I believe. Stalin's are a bit hard to find, but you can find them as well. I've read all of them. And what's very interesting is Lenin. If you look at his his history, his father died of the exact same thing, and at roughly the same age. I think his dad was also 54 when he died. It was the exact same kind of stroke, so there was definitely a genetic component there. And what's interesting is in the autopsy report, the original one they say that when they inspected the vasculature of his brain, when they would move a like a metal instrument against the vessels, they described it as if you're scraping rock. That was how hardened the vasculature of his brain was.
Oh, okay. So I was thinking of something else. Yeah, okay.
Oh, Lamau. Yes, that too. I'm sure he was, when he needed to be. Anyways, what else? They said also, by the way, they have a header, like a section, which started Leninism as religion, which basically says, oh, there's statues of him, therefore it's a religious stupid fuck. They're like, oh, Stalin was the heralded priest who protected the sermons of it's like, shut the fuck up.
Nerds.
Oh my God. Again, yeah, exactly. You're the evangelicals here. Shut the fuck up. They also, by the way, they have a segment titled Identity Politics, in which basically they say the various sub-ethnicities that existed within the Soviet Union weren't actually like real nations, that they were just Russians that Lenin forcibly turned into other. It's like, oh, Belarusians aren't Belarusians, are actually Russians. Ukrainians are actually Russians. Most of Kazakhstan Kazakhs are actually just Russian people. I'm like, what the fuck are you on about? You're so fucking stupid. But yeah, for Marx, there's only it's a very long and stupid article. There's nothing good in it. But the one thing that stands out that's funny is they say, as Marxist ideology sees Christianity as an enemy, it is unofficially satanic.
Oh, okay, cool.
so there you go. I wasn't informed, but yeah.
How do we make it officially satanic? Like, what do we do? Do we go ask Satan, yo, can we team up, bro?
Oh,
he gives us a document, with like a little stamp with little horns.
But yeah, and by the way, I love that there's also a secondary link that is listed, by the way, in weird, it's not even Castro-related ones. You just see it around. It's titled Mystery. Did a fake Fidel Castro meet the Pope? Question mark. And basically, they have a list of shit that's complete nonsense. And in the end, they write add to list. They forgot to take that bit out.
Oh, man.
In it, they're like, fucking the really old fucking Castro who's bent over. He's not the height he's supposed to be. They claim he was like some 30-year-old guy that had makeup on. And they claim that since 2006, Castro hasn't had a single public appearance, which is like, this is something you can check right now. This wasn't written in like 1990, okay? This was written like a few years ago. You can Google this and find out that this is bullshit, but whatever, all right. And they're like, wait, Castro, he couldn't have possibly been interested in Catholicism, but he was asking the Pope about changes in the Catholic Mass. That is absolutely like, what's it called? Proof in the pudding that it wasn't actually Castro. Shut the fuck up. The last personage that we'll discuss was Guevara. And I love how the article, which is like half a page, if even that, they completely omit the fact that he was a doctor. They don't even mention it. And this is something that's very frequent with conservatives. In fact, you can see like conservative articles even from back in the 60s, which basically say not only do they refuse to mention that he was a doctor, in fact, some of them even go the inverse and say, oh, actually, Guevara lied about being a physician. Despite the fact that, we have his professors and his friends who went to uni with him, who know him. We have his grade transcripts. We have his diploma, right? Yeah. He practiced as a medical doctor all across Latin America in various clinics. This is not shit you can fucking fake. But yeah, and I love the fact is because he's originally, Guevara's originally from Cordoba, but he went to Buenos Aires to do his university education. But there's a medical university in Cordoba. So all these conservatives, they called that university, the one that he didn't go to, and asked if he was ever a student there. And obviously when the people there tell him he was never a student here, they're like, there it is. He wasn't a fucking student. He's lying. Which is, I also always find this funny. If you were going to choose to fake some profession, why would you choose arguably the most difficult and longest education? Right? It's something that's so easy to call your bluff on. But anyways, the final thing that I'll mention, and this one you guys can strap in for, is called Native Americans. It's going to be just 2 sentences that I have to give you. If you were to type Native Americans into Conservopedia, it will redirect you to American Indian. It refuses to accept Native American. And by the way, when you actually read the stupid, it's a very short article again, they don't even mention the genocide. Literally, it's like, the Native Americans lived in these areas, and then they immediately skip over like colonization and genocide. They don't even mention it, right? Instead, do you know what they talk about? They have an entire segment as to where Mormons think Native Americans are from.
Oh, okay, yeah, because that's a great resource, what Mormons think about anything.
Jesus Christ. So that's exactly, and then that's the article, then it ends.
Oh, wow. A fascinating mind conservatives have, just truly diseased, honestly. I've got actually one more if you guys would like to hear it.
Do.
So I looked up this was a tangent from when I was looking at the climate change article, because I saw the word leftist was blue. So it was a link. I was like, I got to click that link. So I looked at the page for leftist. Here's their definition. Leftist refers to someone on the left side of the political spectrum, such as a particularly liberal member of the American Democrat Party, a member of the British Labour Party, a member of the Canadian Liberal or New Democratic parties, a progressive, socialist, democratic socialist, or, to the far left, a communist. A leftist supports collectivism, more government control of the economy, direct government control over social policy, lower military spending, censorship of religion, a living constitution, same-sex, quote, marriage, a more unisex society, globalism, feminism, the homosexual agenda, anti-Semitism, racism, support for Islam, genital mutilation of children, taxpayer-funded abortion, and sometimes even taxpayer-funded terrorism. So I love the same-sex, quote, marriage, which has another,
Classic.
It's got its own page. And the thing about this entire article is that throughout the entire thing, they're basically saying, they're saying all the buzzwords like liberal, communists, all that stuff. They're essentially asserting that liberals, communists, and fascists are the same thing, which is just, it's exhausting. But I scrolled down, I persevered. They've got some examples, and this is my favorite part. They've got examples of 19th century European leftists. They have 2 examples. They have Marx and they have Bakunin.
Oh my God.
That's it. That's all they have for 19th century European leftists. Apparently those were the only ones. And then if you scroll down more, they have a section on modern leftists. And once again, they have 2 of them. They have Antonio Gramsci, all right? And then they have Joseph A. Buttigieg, Mayor Pete's dad, as the second modern leftist. That's all they could come up with. Like, you could have. Why not just put Bernie Sanders or something like that? Why Mayor Pete's dad?
So niche.
Because they want to, they have a bone to pick.
I guess. Jesus.
Hold on.
Nice. That shows that the Dems are leftists because somebody's dad is a leftist.
Fascinating. Truly, truly bizarre. A peek into oblivion. And I don't think I will ever be the same after having read some of these takes. And now I have a better understanding of where some of these chuds get their ideas, because this is just slop.
Could I just butt in on one last thing? The guy who founded this fucking thing, a guy named Andrew Schlafly, what a fucking name. One of his positions, by the way, is HIV/AIDS denialism.
Why?
What a strange fucking... why? Yeah, it's like there's so many other things. Like, it's like, he doesn't believe relativity is a thing. He does the vaccine autism thing, okay? He's like, fucking abortions will cause you to lose your eyes. Shit like this, fine, whatever. But HIV and AIDS...
What is the utility of that? Why is that a thing that you even care about?
Don't ask me. I do not fucking know.
What a guy. Let's get him on the show. Let's bring him on.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Unironically, if we could hide the shit of the show and just like get him on, I would do it just for the memes.
That would be fascinating. Well, thank you both for subjecting me to that. I feel like I need to like scrub my eyes and
wash your mouth.
Wash
you
my
said
mouth
some of those words out loud.
Delete my browser data.
Hold on, what the hell? This guy wanted to rewrite the Bible? What the fuck? That's. I thought that was a no-go for Christians. It should be a no-go.
There was one dude I remember who wanted to rewrite the Bible. What was his deal? Maybe it was this guy.
Yeah, I think it is this guy.
What were his goals with that?
He believes that the Bible improperly encourages the social justice movement amongst Christians, and that's why he wanted to rewrite it.
So
oh my god,
you're going to desecrate your holy book because it tells you that you're being a bad person. Okay. I guess you're a good Christian then. Oh god.
By the way, he started the retranslation despite having admitted that he's ignorant of Greek, Hebrew, and even Aramaic, the language Jesus spoke. Interestingly, other like Christian conservatives will like, yeah, this guy's fucking crazy. So if you're too crazy for the other ones, so all right, there we go. Beautiful.
What a world! What a strange subsection of humanity.
Yeah, well, we hope that we've enriched your guys' lives, all you beautiful listeners.
You people suggested this. I'm upset with you.
That's actually right. Yeah, this wasn't our idea. Originally, we were going to do something heavier, but then we're like, hey, let's see what the Discord server has to say. And some people mentioned this. Actually, you know what? I'll give the guy a shout out because this was a great idea. Hold on.
This episode should be called "How to Better Understand Your Dad." This whole website is basically how an average American dad thinks, I think.
This was Tepes on the Patreon Discord server. So thank you very much for subjecting us to this incredible pain. Yeah. We will not forgive you.
Your ban will be swift and merciless.
And with that said, I hope you boys have enjoyed this beautiful pain that the people have subjected us to. I hope the listeners have been thoroughly enriched in their lives by having been exposed to this. We want to thank, of course, our lovely patrons that we couldn't do this possibly without their help. So thank you to all you lovely people. And yeah, that's about it. This has been the Deprogram. I'm Hakeem.
I'm JT.
And I'm Hugh Gopnik. Don't finger dead people.
Globo homo.
Obamanism, true ideology, guys.